So class, for this video, you will learn more about sedimentary rocks. Then what are the sedimentary rocks? As you can see, a sedimentary rock follows what we call lithification process. This is a process to make or create a sedimentary rock. First is, it will undergo weathering, followed by erosion, deposition, compaction, and the last would be cementation. The first one in the lithification process is weathering. Weathering describes the breaking down or dissolving of rocks and minerals on the surface of the earth. The weathered material is called sediment. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay ang pagkasira ng mga bato or ang pagka-dissolve ng mga bato at pati na ang mga minerals na nagko-compose sa mga bato. Like for this one, sa example na nakikita natin sa slide. So, ang mga bato ay pwedeng masira, pwede po silang mahati-hati, okay? And this weathering process is caused by different factors. Pwedeng wind, pwedeng mga water, or even animals and humans. The weathered material is called sediment. No? For example, dito po sa nakikita nating picture, pangalawang picture, weathering causes the rocks to break down. So, unti-unting magiging tiny pieces or it will result into tiny pieces of rocks. And then, after that, erosion will happen. No? So, it will move the sediments downhill to another place. So, as we have said, when the rocks are broken down into pieces, they become sediments. So, these are the types of sediments. There is a specific combination of texture and composition for each type, determined by sediment's history, transport energy and distance, weathering intensity, and composition of source rock. So the types of sediments that is mentioned here are the gravel, sand, silt, clay, and silt. So as you can see, yung gravel, malalaki ang kaniyang size and it will become a sedimentary rock called conglomerate. The sand will become sandstone. The silt, na mas maliit pa ang size kesa sa sand, ay magiging siltstone. And the combination of clay and silt will become a shale sedimentary rock. Next process is erosion. So erosion means movement of sediment from one place to another by wind, water, or ice. So as you can see on the picture, the sediments will be transferred to another place or location by the water. So the agent of erosion here is the water. The next step in the lithification process is deposition. So in this process, the sediments will be deposited to another location or in a new place. So usually, due to gravitational action, no, the sediments will be deposited to low-lying areas such as the river beds and streams. So makita po natin dito sa image na to na ang mga sediments after they have been eroded, no, to a new location. So, sila ay maiipon doon sa place na yon. At sinasabi natin kanina, usually na mapupunta sila or maiipon sila sa mga mabababang lugar, katulad ng mga riverbeds. And pagdating naman doon, usually maiipon sila sa pinakailalim. No? They usually fall to the bottom of the river or to the bottom of the sea, and they will build up in layers. So makita natin, 'di ba, iba't iba yung sizes and shapes at bigat ng mga sediments. Katulad kanina, we were able to discover the 4 types of sediments, such as the gravel, the silt, the sand, and the clay and silt. So nakikita natin ngayon na merong mga sediments na talagang dahil sa kanilang weight ay mapupunta sa pinakailalim. Meron din namang mga sediments na madidisperse lang sa tubig, no, because of their lightness. And meron din namang mga sediments na dahil nga magaan, napupunta sa may malayong part ng river. Yung mga mabibigat usually malalapit lang sa near or near the shore, kasi dahil sa kanilang kabigatan, hindi sila nakaka-travel ng malayo. So that is the deposition process of the sediments. So after the sediment has been deposited to a new location, the processes of compaction and cementation change the sediment into sedimentary rock. So the sediment may include shells, bones, leaves, stems, and other remains of living things. Like, for example, as what we can see on the image, there is a limestone rock that we call as coquina. And this limestone rock contains shells. So, ang mga shells ay nakasama or nadikit dito sa bato na ito because of the process of compaction and cementation. Okay, itong proseso na to, itong dalawang proseso na to, sila po yung nagpapatigas ng sedimentary rock. Okay, so over time, any remains of living things in the sediment may slowly harden and change into fossils trapped in the rock. So, yun nga, yung mga remains or yung mga living organisms na nakasama sa kanila will turn out to become fossils, no? And then, sila po ay titigas na kasama ang bato na ito. So, the fourth process in the lithification is compaction. So, the compaction is the squeezing together of layers of sediment due to the great weight of overlying layers of rock. So, kung makikita natin sa picture, before, the loose rock and soil with large spaces between particles. So, pwedeng nagsama-sama sila, pero may mga spaces in between, no? Nagsama-sama sila, naipon sila sa isang location, and that is the process of deposition. Kapag dumating na tayo sa process ng compaction, so what will happen? So, the rock and soil compacted or squeezed by the pressure of the rock above. Less empty space. So, usually dito matatanggal yung air, matatanggal yung mga spaces between, matatanggal yung mga, siguro, some of the amount of water, matatanggal, mapipress daw siya. Kumbaga parang talagang, mo siya, pinipipi, no? Parang, it will become compacted, no? So, because of the pressure na nanggagaling po dun sa mga bagong layers na kumukover or sa bagong layers na dumadating at umiipit, no, dun sa mga underlying layer. And that is what we call as compaction. So, in cementation, this is the last step in the formation of sedimentary rock. This is the process by which dissolved minerals crystallize and glue sediment grains together. So, as you can see, there is a layer of sediments lower layers compacted dahil nga sila po ay nakakaranas ng pressure from the layers above them, no? From the new layers above them. And then, the grains of the sediment tightly packed together. So, makikita natin na the spaces are removed, the water, the air are removed, talagang dikit-dikit sila. Okay, and then the water carrying dissolved mineral seeps between the grains. Ngayon, may mga minerals kasi on the environment, no, na nakasurround sa kanila na sometimes nadi-dissolve ito sa tubig. So, minsan, itong mga minerals na to, or itong minerals that are mixed in the water ay lumulusot or talagang nakakasip sila doon sa mga butas, naiiwang butas ng mga grains. And then when the water evaporates, no, syempre may iwan yung mga mineral kasi hindi naman sila pwedeng mag-evaporate. So the mineral is left behind to cement the grains together. Ito yung dahilan kung bakit, no, parang nagdidikit-dikit sila. No, parang itong mga natirang mineral, sila yung magiging glue, no, or adhesive, para hindi na magkawatak-watak itong mga grains na to. So, after they become cemented together, so matigas na sila, and this will form the sedimentary rock. So let's review again the compaction and cementation process. So after the deposition, the sediments are first separated, and then when the compaction begins, the grains crash together and interlock. And after cementation, the mineral crystals that are left behind cemented or glued the grains together. So this is the process of making a sedimentary rock. Let's now move on to the types of sedimentary rocks. As you can see on the image, several examples of rocks were presented, such as the conglomerate, breccia, red sandstone, shale, and gray sandstone, under the type clastic rocks. So let us study sandstone. So this is made up of sand grains. Ang sediments na nagko-compose sa sandstone ay sand o yung buhangin. So as you can see, the sand is composed of the mineral quartz. Okay? And then after the lithification process, as we have said a while ago, it will become a sandstone. So pag sinabi mong sandstone, dumaan na to dun sa 5 proseso. Katulad ng deposition, erosion, weathering, compaction, and cementation. Kaya matigas na siya. Okay, so this is strong and resistant to weathering. So next is the shale. The shale is made from layers of mud and clay, mixed with fine sand, organic matter, iron oxide, and other impurities. Pero ang majority or pinakamaraming component niya ay ang clay and mud. No? So, this will become shale after the lithification processes and can easily break into layers. Hindi siya ganun katigas katulad ng sandstone. Next is the conglomerate. As you can see, this is composed of pebbles, pieces of gravel cemented together. So usually itong mga beach rocks na tinatawag o yung mga stones na malalapit kadalasan sa rivers, streams, lakes, ayan, yan yung tinatawag na gravel. So yung gravel, malaking size ng sediment ito. So it will become conglomerate rock after the lithification processes. Okay, so ang mapapansin nyo dito, the gravel has a rounded edges. So yung hindi patusok yung mga edge niya kundi rounded. And it is difficult to erode. Another sedimentary rock under clastic rock is breccia. So what is breccia? This is rock formed from angular gravel. So gravel pa rin siya, katulad ng conglomerate, but the difference is the shape of the gravel. Kasi yung gravel ng breccia, angular, with pointed edges, no? Mga patusok. Unlike yung conglomerate, rounded yung edges niya. But still, they are composed of gravel and boulder-sized clasts cemented together in a matrix. So, after lithification process, itong mga gravel na to, nagiging breccia rock. Okay. So, another type of rock is the organic rocks. Kanina kasi, we were able to describe the first type of rock, yung clastic rocks na tinatawag, na merong mga iba't ibang examples, no? And usually, the clastic rocks are made from different types of sediments. Ngayon naman, ang organic rock ay kakaiba naman. These are formed where the remains of plants and animals are deposited in thick layers. So the term organic refers to substances that once were part of living things or were made by living things. The two important organic sedimentary rocks are coal and limestone. So kung mapapansin nyo, itong mga organic rock ay mga bato na pwedeng gawa sa remains or fossilized living organisms. Or pwede rin meron silang kasama lang nitong living things na to. So, one of the organic rock is coal or the anthracite. So, this coal is formed from the remains of swamp plants buried in water. So, galing pala siya sa mga nalibing, no, or na buried na mga halaman. So as layer upon layer of plant remains build up, the weight of the layer squeezes the decaying plants. Over millions of years, they slowly change into coal. Okay? So galing po ito sa mga halaman and matagal po ang proseso para magkaroon ka ng coal rock, no? Pero, katulad ng sinabi natin kanina, dumaan pa rin siya sa lithification process. Kaya tandaan, organic rock ito. So, galing po sila sa mga living organisms, the fossilized living organisms, that is changed into a sedimentary rock. Another organic sedimentary rock is limestone. Ayan. So, alam nyo po yung kaninang picture ko dun sa Kapurpurawan Rock Formation sa Ilocos. So, ang rock formation na yon is a limestone formation. So, that is a sedimentary rock. So, paano ba na nabubuo ang limestone? In the ocean, many living things, including corals, clams, oysters, and snails, have shells or skeletons made of calcite. So, the mineral on the exoskeletons of these living organisms, no, ay galing po sa calcite. When these animals die, their shells pile up as a sediment on the ocean floor. Some of the shells dissolve, forming a solution of calcite that seeps into the spaces between the shell fragments. Okay. Later on, the dissolved material comes out of the solution, forming calcite. The calcite cements the shell particles together, forming limestone. So, yung mineral na calcite, siya po yung parang nagdikit-dikit or naging adhesive sa mga shell particles. So, katulad rin kanina, matagal mabuo. It takes thousands or millions of years para mabuo ang limestone. Dahil galing nga po sila sa mga living organisms. Yung coal kanina ay galing sa plants. Ito namang limestone galing sa mga marine creatures. Yung mga exoskeleton or the skeletons of the marine creatures. The last type of rock would be a chemical rock. So this is formed when minerals that are dissolved in a solution crystallize. Okay. So yung minerals, kadalasan kasi ay nadidissolve po siya sa water. Okay. So when the water evaporate, so may iwan yung mineral. Diba? Alam naman natin na there is a chance for water to evaporate. No? Especially when the temperature is very hot. Ngayon, of course, may iwan yung mineral na nung una pa lang ay na-dissolve sa water. So, the mineral deposits that are left harden, no? Which become the chemical rock. Sila po ay nag-crystallize. Okay? So, one example is the rock salt. The rock salt is a chemical rock made of the mineral halite, which forms by evaporation. So, you are correct. Rock salt, ito po yung binibili ng ating mga magulang, tinatawag na asin, which adds flavor to the food that we eat. Okay, so rock salt, yan po ay isang chemical rock, katulad din ng gypsum. They are formed from the crystallization of their mineral content. So hopefully you understand all the processes and the examples and types under the sedimentary rock. Thank you very much.